Good morning. Wow, I haven't done the show for a couple of days. It feels weird to be back in this space. I hope everyone's doing well. Did you like the videos I showed? Dr. Andrew Spitsness from Secular Cinephile talked about movies, talked about atheism, talked about psychiatry and whether or not faith is a mental illness. Let's do something funny before we get to the news.
Going hard for chart, grow this hardy biennial in your backyard. I got bars for chard, went hard at the farm, got a carload of chard. The flavor don't miss from the coast of Spain, but we call it Swiss. This chard is healthy, it gives me bliss. Swiss chard like beats when it's just the tips. Can you hear chard talk? I'm invested in chard, I'm holding stocks. Food is free, grow chard in the park. Plant that seed and watch the chard spark. Wow, it's the colors of the rainbow. White, red, orange, pink, and yellow. Vitamins E, K, C, and A, yo. Potassium, magnesium is good for your brain though. So in the spring, lo and behold all the chard you bring. Harvest chard from the outer leaf. Leave a few inches and let it breathe. The issues are minor, but you might see some blotch leaf miners. Little fly larvae be feasting at the diner. Neem oil before they create an empire. The garden you guarding, look at the life that you took part in starting. Throw a chard party, go on, get potting. Write a chard song, be top charting.
Top charting, I'm sorry. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing pretty good this morning. I'm going to check out the chat. Good morning, Cryptameria. Hell, yes. I wrote a little bit this morning for my blog, Laughing in Disbelief, on Pathos Non-Religious, and it's a 10-question quiz about whether or not you're going to hell. Of course, if you're a good Baptist or good atheist Baptist like myself, the answer is everyone's going to hell, right? That's basic Christian theology right there. Jessi Bear, good morning. Oh, John Hudson, glad to see that you're here, sir. Tobin Templeman, saw your latest music video, sir, last night. Very nice, very nice. Simply Secular Dave from the West Coast. Hope the West Coast is doing well for you, Dave. Jessi Bear, good to see you. And B, where's C? I just saw B and I just lost him. Hey, that's it. I just made it at the beginning. Wow. Yeah, so did I. I made it at the beginning too. Yay, the both of us. Sammy. It's something I'm not really fond of. The girlfriend really doesn't really like it, but she will buy it. She will cook it. I'm not a big fan of chard, to Swiss chard, to tell you the truth. All right. Morning, Derek Cruz, Raging Atheist. Hope you're doing well, Rage. Hope you're feeling well. Dustin Ranger, you have to leave for the cat to sleep on. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I had a great time in Colorado. I went to Nederland, which is a little mountain village where they have a man on ice. He was cryogenically frozen, but he didn't want to pay the bills for the upkeep of his body in liquid nitrogen. So his son literally took his body from Arizona, brought him up, and they have him now in some cabin. They wheel him out once a year. I wish I was making this up, everyone, but it's called Nederland, Colorado. Had a couple of pints there, and didn't see the dead man. Didn't see the man on ice, but like I said, I think they wheel him out once a year. Rocky Mountain High, exactly. So yeah, I hope everyone's been doing well. I have been looking at the news, of course. I've been posting those videos with Dr. Andrew Spitsness, a psychiatrist. Had a really good conversation with him tonight. I'm actually going to be talking with Monica Miller, who is head counsel for the American Humanist Association. I'm not going to be this. It isn't going to be a live show. I don't know when I'm going to drop the videos. It might be one big video. It might be a variety of different videos, but she is doing great work over the AHA. And so I'm looking forward in having that conversation with her. I can only tell you this too. Whenever you listen to a comedian or an entertainer, an actor, a director, they're always saying, oh, this next project that's coming up, that's going to be really huge. It's going to be the best project I ever worked on. And I've been dropping hints, not so subtle hints, that there's something big coming down the road. Is it a reimagination of online atheist comedy, of secular comedy. It just might be. I'm not sure. There's a team developing, everyone. There's a team developing. So that's all I can really talk about right now. Yeah, it will be, because Monica Miller also does a lot of animal rights work too. So I want to talk to her about her work with fighting for animal rights. Hey, Brainbug, hope you're doing well. Remember, Sammy Jenkins says the phrase "man on ice" has a very different meaning where I am at Laughing and Disbelief. Maybe we can talk about that in the after party after show at 10 a.m. That's right. This show runs until about 5 minutes of 10. And then we're going to be doing the show an open room at 10 a.m. Hey, Glenn Chesterton. Glenn Chesterton and I had this conversation on Facebook, a quick back and forth about zombievers. I don't know if you've ever seen. If you like the horror movies, Zombievers is hilarious. Comedian Bill Burr has a small walk on in it. Definitely worth your time. I saw The Lighthouse. Willem Dafoe. Black and white movie, beautiful movie. If you like Edgar Allan Poe, if you like H.P. Lovecraft, if you like Stephen King, if you like beautifully filmed, disturbing movies, The Lighthouse is for you. And I know the movie was out in 2019, but it's well worth your time, everyone. All right, KCA Randy. Is everything well? Today's a really busy day, because not only am I talking with Monica Miller, head counsel from the American Humanist Association tonight, but I'm also meeting with my filmmaker partner, and we're talking about the short, funny bit that we're going to be filming in July. So today's a big day. And of course, I'm working too after the show. So I'm doing the show, doing the after party, working, coming back, talking with Monica Miller, and then meeting up with my filmmaker buddy, partner. And then we have to figure out how we're going to be doing this crazy thing that we're going to be doing in July. So it is, so yeah, it's going to be a busy day for Andy. We should really start talking about memes before actually getting into the news cycle, right? So let's just show a couple of memes. Here we go. Genetically engineered beluga whales are attacking Christian families with homosexual chemtrail water. Oh, my fictitious God. I wish I wrote that. I wish I did, but I didn't. But it's Pride Month. And if genetically engineered beluga whales were attacking Christian families with homosexual chemtrail water, it would be during Pride Month, everyone. Baby Jesus at bath time. See, it's a simple joke. Something for everyone. And this last one, a little edgy. Oh, the places you'd go if you weren't oppressed by wage, labor, and class society. A little bit to the left. A little. Is it oppression? Maybe it is oppression here in the States, at least, right? Talking about Burger King. I know we're not. Well, if you took a look at the description for this video, you know what the stories we're going to be covering today, right? And you know that one of the stories is going to be the beef. Oh, it's a horrible pun. Burger King takes a shot at Chick-fil-A and BK will donate money from its new chicken sandwich to an LGBTQ organization. Let's take a look at the story. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Burger King has taken a shot at Chick-fil-A during Pride Month and will donate money from its new chicken sandwich to the Human Rights Campaign, the world's largest LGBTQ civil rights organization. On Thursday, the company tweeted that 40 cents for every Chick-king sandwich sold in the month of June will be donated to the Human Rights Campaign. The company will donate up to $250,000. Is there a tweet? There's a tweet. This is from Burger King. The Chick-king says LGBTQ plus rights during Pride Month, even on Sunday. See, that's a commentary on Chick-fil-A, by the way. As many of you know, Chick-fil-A does not open on Sunday. So that's a dig from the Burger King to Chick-fil-A. So they're making it up to $250,000 they're going to be donating for Pride Month for the Chick-king sandwich. I'm not eating meat. Otherwise, I would have a Chick-king sandwich just to spite Chick-fil-A. I've had, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, chat. I'm going to talk to the microphone again because this is, I can talk to the camera, talk to the microphone, but tell me if I'm wrong, microphone, that most people like Chick-fil-A because of nostalgia, something that they had in their childhood, right? Because I've had Chick-fil-A, microphone, and it's okay. It's okay, but it's not incredible. It's not mind bursting, right? I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I off base about Chick-fil-A, everyone? I don't think I am. All right, let's see what's going on. Well, that is the sound that BK cash registers make. That's right, Tesla Ranger. Well, Theo, you reveal what you wrote reveals the truth. If they did it out of empathy and not marketing, it would be better. They should be doing it all year round. We talked about, the last time, I don't know when the last time you went to Pride Microphone, but the last time I went to Pride, I was gobsmacked. Yeah, I'm going to use that word, gobsmacked, at how many businesses had basically dominated Pride and made it a corporate event. Yeah, I guess it's been going on for years. Oh, Jessi Bear, thank you for reminding me. And I actually have it on my cheat sheet here on my notes that I should ask people to hit like and subscribe. But Jessi Bear reminded me. Thank you. And that's all. Please hit the like and subscribe. Membership doesn't suck, right? Yeah. I'm going to bounce back to The Lighthouse. It's very German expressionist. Yeah, I've only seen a handful of German expressionist movies. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I think Nosferatu is considered to be German expressionist. Maybe Metropolis too. But yeah, The Lighthouse, definitely worth your time, everyone. So the first story is Burger King tells Chick-fil-A to go F itself, because we all know that Chick-fil-A has traditionally given money to anti-LGBTQ causes because, of course, Chick-fil-A, they only serve up good Christian chicken sandwiches. Jessi Bear says, I've never eaten at Chick-fil-A. A cause, growing up in a small town, we never had one. So when I moved out of that town, I just refused to eat it. Yeah, me too. I have to tell you, the only time I've had Chick-fil-A was when I was in a casino. Was I in Vegas? I don't know where I was, everyone. It might have been Vegas. And I just thought, I'll just try it. I'll give. I'm a big believer in giving my money to people who don't suck or organizations don't suck as much as possible. And I tried it. I tried their waffle fries. It's a respectable sandwich, but it's not like OMFG. Oh, my fictitious God, it's fantastic. All right. Dr. Mordecai. Hello, Dr. Mordecai. I only watch films I can fast forward to the end. The last scene in The Lighthouse, sir, is quite a shot. And who is it? Peterson? Because there's only really two main characters in the movie. There's Willem Dafoe, and I think it's the glittery vampire kid, right? From that horrible series, those horrible three movies. Peterson, he can act. He can act in that movie. He can act. All right. Simply Secular Dave says, I've never eaten at a Chick-fil-A. We don't have them in Canada. Canada is great, right? Another plus for Canada right there. I saw someone write the other day that when I grew up, I want to be Canadian. It's like, oh, that's funny. Might put that on a t-shirt. All right, so what's the next story? Let's talk about this dickbag. Pharmacist who intentionally destroyed 500 COVID vaccine doses gets 3 years in prison. We covered the story when it first came out. It was a pharmacist, and he just decided, hey, I'm going to fight the good fight by destroying 500 doses of COVID vaccine. But it's actually worse than that, everyone. Let's take a look at this story. A federal judge on Tuesday sentenced the Wisconsin pharmacist who destroyed 500 COVID-19 vaccine doses during a national public health emergency to 3 years in prison back in January January, Stephen Brandenburg agreed to plead guilty to 2 counts of attempting to tamper with consumer products with reckless disregard. Theoretically, he could have faced a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison for each count, but under federal sentencing guidelines, Brandenburg was looking at up to 51 months behind bars. After completing his 36-month sentence, Brandenburg will face another 3 years of supervised release. He was also ordered to pay $83,000 in restitution. The purposeful attempt to spoil vaccine doses during a national public health emergency is a serious crime. Acting Assistant Attorney General Brian Boynton, I'm going to pronounce it as Boynton, said in a statement, the Department of Justice will continue working with its law enforcement partners to safeguard these life-saving vaccine. Brandenburg was fired from the Aurora Medical Center in Grafton, Wisconsin in December after the hospital said he admitted he intentionally removed the vaccine from refrigeration. Now, not only did he make sure the vaccines were out of refrigeration, right, spoiling the vaccines, but the question is that I'm sure some of you are asking, right, microphone? I'm sure some of them, because the chat really, and the observers here watching the show are pretty smart people. You're asking, did those spoiled vaccines get injected into people? Well, let's look. Brandenburg intentionally removed removed doses of the Moderna vaccine from its refrigeration during 2 successive overnight shifts in December. Prosecutors said, possibly rendering them ineffective because the vaccine vials must be stored at specific temperatures. Brandenburg then returned the vaccines to the refrigerator after knowing they had been left out, leading to 57 people being injected with the potentially spoiled inoculations, according to the DOJ. Grafton police said Brandenburg is an admitted conspiracy theorist. Who would have guessed that? That he's a conspiracy theorist who told investigators that he believed the COVID-19 vaccine was not safe for people and could harm them and change their DNA. The Wisconsin Pharmacy Even Examining Board suspended Brandenburg's license earlier this year, which prohibits him from practicing at state pharmacies. It just shows you, he's a pharmacist. He should know better. Most of us here, especially those of us who are commenting, know that the mRNA, it doesn't really do that to your DNA. It's messenger RNA, and that's what I believe the Moderna vaccine uses, mRNA technology. It's not gonna change your DNA. All right, let's see who's going on here. I tell you, Rach, if you haven't seen The Lighthouse, take a look at it, because the man can act. He can act. Whether or not he'll be good as Batman, I don't know, man. Checking out the chat. Laughing. I know someone that sadly eats it occasionally, Chick-fil-A, because they're one of the few last places that allows gluten allergy. Oh, yeah, gluten allergy. I had a girlfriend who was gluten-free, and when you have to eat gluten-free, it's difficult, to say the least. It's difficult to eat out. I hear that she said that Five Guys had a very strict gluten-free set of policies. Tesla Ranger says, I saw a video where someone asked to see the vaccine vial and just walked out with it. Crazy. I hope he doesn't, Glenn Chesterton writes, I hope he doesn't end up near a prison that a lot of planes fly by. I wouldn't want the chemtrails to burn him. And the prison frogs gay. I hear that's an epidemic. Gay prison frogs from chemtrails. And brain bug. There's no way this guy made it through pharmacology classes without learning how the compounds in vaccines work. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Some people, Cryptameria says, some people think it'll change you so much that you won't get into heaven. I don't understand that. It's beyond ignorant. Jesus will love you more for not killing grandma. Yeah, I don't think if Jesus ever exists, if God exists, if Jesus exists, I don't think getting the vaccine would really affect your chances in the afterlife. Yeah, Affleck, Batman. Yeah, that's cringy. And it's difficult. And I'll say this about Affleck. It was difficult for anyone who was going to follow Christian Bale in those movies playing Batman. It was going to be difficult because when you're a comedian, it's difficult to go on right after someone who crushes it, right? You would think it isn't, but they're always comparing you to the person just before you who was really, really good. So yeah, I think it would be difficult for anyone to play Batman after Christian Bale in those 3 movies. All right, what are we doing? All right, let's do the next story before we do the halftime show. DOJ, Justice Department says it will now require federal officers to wear body cameras. If you're just tuning in, you're probably saying, have we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene yet and her crazy talk? Because if you looked at the thumbnail of this show, it's a quote from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God. That's actually a quote. And yes, we're going to get to this story after the halftime show. But first, we're going to talk about the feds making sure that their agents are going to have to wear body cameras. And some of you are thinking to yourselves, what do you mean they haven't been doing it already? Apparently not. Federal agents will now be required to wear body cameras when executing search warrants or making pre-planned arrests, according to a new policy outlined Monday by the Justice Department's second highest ranking official, Department Attorney General Lisa Monaco, announced the change in a memo acknowledging the importance of transparency and accountability. Those words you typically don't hear in American policing, or at least policing in the United States of America. Transparency and accountability. I am skeptical in building trust between federal officers and the communities they serve. While a growing number of police departments nationwide require body cameras, the Justice Department has long shielded federal officers from wearing them, arguing they pose a potential risk to sensitive investigations. Well, that's BS, right? That's BS, because we all know that even when officers have body cameras, they sometimes shut them off. A lot of the times the police departments won't make them public. So it's just another example of stonewalling. But I digress. Is that a digression microphone? I don't think so, but we should go to the next frame here, the next slide. Shaping the new requirements, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the DEA, the FBI, and the United States Marshal Service will have 30 days to draft their own policies in accordance with the new requirements, Monaco said. The policies submitted by each agency must include guidance on how often body cameras will be recording, sometimes referred to as either pre-event recording or a buffering period. Body cameras can be set to temporarily take and store video footage even before the officers press record. According to the 2016 report funded by the DOJ, some footage can be instrumental in providing context to officer-involved shootings. So this policy is actually an extension of what William Barr was doing during the Trump administration. So there was some movement towards federal officers having body cameras on them, and this is just continuing that process. Checking out the chat. Let's see. Michael Keaton was the ultimate Batman. I will say this about Michael Keaton and the first Batman movie. Danny Elfman, who wrote the score for The Simpsons, he also wrote the score for the first Batman movie. Was recently on Mark Maron podcast. Definitely worth checking out. If you're a fan of movie scoring and Danny Elfman, it's worth checking out. Let's see. Hey, Wild Eden. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Whatever happened to Bat Boy? Whatever happened to Bat Boy? Jessi Bear. Local church has on their sign, son. Oh, Jessi Bear, you're breaking my brain. You're breaking my brain. Let me say this again. A local church has on their sign, sunscreen, S-O-N, prevents sin burn, which I'll admit made me giggle. I'm like, well, that's just the best Christian humor can get. Off topic, but wanted to share. Oh, it was worth sharing, Jessi Bear. Sunscreen prevents sin burn? Oh, man. Well, this is a good question, Glenn Chesterton. Why not make a body cam that cannot be turned off? Why not make body cams that can be turned on randomly, right? Now, that's the trick, isn't it, everyone? That's the trick, is to make body cams that can be turned on just randomly. Not only would the officers have to turn them on right before these warrants, these prearranged arrests, but I think that if you're an officer of the law, that camera should be turned on randomly and record whatever you're doing, because then you'll get real transparency, or at least you're getting closer to transparency. Yeah, they should be made to turn on randomly and just record. But that's a good point, Glenn Chesterton. I'm glad that you mentioned that. When an officer turns off the camera, that means they're about to do something effed up. Why else turn it off? Exactly. You know they're doing shady stuff. Why not have drones follow cops? That's a good question, Scott Duke. And you know, the technology is going to get there. The technology is going to get there so that perhaps even citizen groups would be able to have drones that follow cops, right? That'd be something. Why not have citizen groups have drones that follow cops? Because, you know, my dad, being a crazy guy that he was, he always had the police scanner on. Of course he did. He always had a police scanner on. So you could easily just follow the police scanner and then lift your drone up and just fly it over to wherever they are. So that's possible. You know, that would be an interesting way how citizen groups keep an eye on cops. All right. Okay, so halftime show, everyone. Please hit the like button. See, it says it right here in my notes, because Dave from the West Coast, Simply Secular Dave, said, Andy, why don't you just write down the fact that you're going to ask people to like the video on your cheat sheet? And so I'm going to ask people to like the video right now. And now we're going to do a halftime show. It's funny. And then we're going to talk about, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, we're going to talk about her. Jessi Bear, before we do the police have freaking tanks but complain about batteries for body cams being too expensive. Yeah, Jessi Bear, you're right about that. Your dad had a police radio there to monitor. Yeah, a lot of dads did, I think. All right, let's do the halftime show.
I never talk about what I really think about on stage directly, because I don't value what I think at this point about those issues. I don't think anyone wants to get up and hear a 20-year-old tell them what they think about how the world works.
How about you give it a try? All right. The simple narrative taught in every history class is demonstrably false and pedagogically classist. Don't you know the world is built with blood and genocide and exploitation? The global network of capital essentially functions to separate the worker from the means of production. Private property's inherently theft, and neoliberal fascists are destroying the left, and every politician, every cop on the street protects the interests of the pedophilic corporate elite. That is how the world works. Really? That is how the world.
It's dark. Do you have to see it again? I think we need to see it again. Let's do it.
I never talk about what I really think about on stage directly, because I don't value what I think at this point about those issues. I don't think anyone wants to get up and hear a 20-year-old tell them what they think about how the world works.
How about you give it a try? All right. The simple narrative taught in every history class is demonstrably false and pedagogically classist. Don't you know the world is built with blood and genocide and exploitation? The global network of capital essentially functions to separate the worker from the means of production. Private property's inherently theft, and neoliberal fascists are destroying the left, and And every politician, every cop on the street protects the interests of the pedophilic corporate elite. That is how the world works. Really? That is how the world.
Neoliberal fascists are destroying the left. It makes me think of the conversation that I had with Dr. Adam Kotsko, who wrote Neoliberalism's Demons. He was on this channel months ago, 3-4 months ago, I want to say. And we had a really good conversation about how neoliberalism, what it is, and how it helped destroy the United States of America, basically. Gonna check out the chat before we get to the next story. This is my first, I think this is my first exposure to Bo, Jessi Bear. Hilarious, right? Hilarious. Simply Secular Dave. The puppet has no eyes. It doesn't, but the world is built on blood. Right, James Henry? Glad to see that you're here. It's an interesting time to come onto the show. It's like, I wonder what Andy's up to on the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, and then you're just into that song with the puppet. Wow. Cryptameria says, makes me think of the fourth year feminist classes in university. Sure, definitely. I'm Phil Lister. I'm glad that you're here. You in your boat today, Phil Lister, somewhere in the Baltic, boating around? All right. So what's the next? I promised you Marjorie Taylor Greene. But are you really ready for Marjorie Taylor Greene? Can anyone really be ready for this? Can anyone really be ready for Marjorie Taylor Greene? She is just this font, this fountain of idiocy, of Christian fascism, of lunacy. But yes, this is it, everyone. We're going to talk about. This is a story from Hemant Mehta, the Friendly Atheist, and the GOP lawmaker on virus research. I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God. Sure, this is the United States of America, and at this point, I'm sure that it's always been like this here, that to be elected president of the United States, you would have to believe in not evolution. Representative Marjorie, links in the description, everyone. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the conspiracy theorist and publicity hound, who was banned from sitting on any committees because of her repeated support of violence against her colleagues, is still spreading lies that are designed to hurt as many Americans as possible after saying months ago the vaccine passports were essentially a mark of the beast. I try to do that in my best Bruce Dickinson voice, everyone. I know, from Iron Maiden, I tried. She's now claiming she doesn't believe any of the research that's been done on COVID because she thinks evolution is a hoax. She made the comments to Steve Bannon on Real America's Voice. That's his podcast, by the way. In the past, people call her a publicity whore, but now we realize that sex workers are workers and that they do valuable business. And actually calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a publicity whore is actually insulting to sex workers. But I digress. And also, Steve Bannon's podcast seems to be the place for every white supremacist and every would-be fascist to just say crazy words. But let's take a look at those particular crazy words Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying. That's a bioweapon, she charged. So we need to be very clear about what was the intent of COVID-19 and these viruses that they experiment with, some sort of Dr. Frankenstein experiment. I don't buy it because I don't believe in evolution, the Congresswoman said. I don't believe in that type of so-called science. I don't believe in evolution. I believe in God. God bless America. Greene, that's what I would have added if she was on the show. Greene added, these viruses were not making people sick until they created them and made them into weaponized viruses to be able to attach to our cells and make us sick. This has caused so many to die, so many people to die over the world. Let me try to just say that again so that maybe if I say it slower, it will make sense. These viruses were not making people sick until they created them and made them into weaponized viruses to be able to attach to our cells and make us sick. The thing is, her fan base, they don't care. Trump's fan base, they don't care if the words that come out of her mouth make sense. The midbrain doesn't care, everyone. The only thing the midbrain cares about is tribalism, and she is virtue signaling her tribe with crazy words that make no sense. Checking out the chat. Greene is playing pretend while being an adult. Well, yeah. Oh, of course it's a hoax. Everything's a hoax except for the next lie that comes out of Trump's mouth or one of his acolytes, right? Let's see. Checking out the chat here. You can believe in evolution and you can believe in God, but you're doing something wrong. I think you're doing something wrong. They have a war on education, right about that. You're right. Republicans have a war on education here. You're not on a boat, but your baby's saying, oh, very good. Good for you, Phil. All right, let's check out what else. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she does, you have to say something crazy every couple of days to really keep yourself in the media spotlight. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she does have that kind of idiotic genius that she's just going to be like, I'm just going to start saying crazy words. She's like a freestyle rapper, but with QAnon conspiracy theories. Brain bug. Oh my goodness. So-called science. Does she like not having polio? Indeed, brain bug. Indeed. Well, I'm planning to have my first open live stream later this week to address certain things. So if you want to come by and get notifications, okay, that's good. Wild Eden, are you? Yeah, you. Wild Eden must be a mod, right? And if you are a mod, then you can drop a link, Wild Eden, and let people know that they can subscribe to your channel. Let's see. Theoretically says it's always the loony and strawman conspiracy theorists that take credibility away from the real CIA conspiracies. This is a good point. There's actually real shady stuff being done. There's real shady stuff being done. And these crazy right-wing theories, definitely, maybe they just act as like a cloaking device, right? For the real stuff going on in this country, like the rich don't pay taxes, which is our next story, by the way, or it is a story that we're going to be covering, like the rich not paying taxes. James Henry, imagine if MTG became POTUS, President of the United States of America. Yeah, that's not hard to believe. That's not hard to believe. Glenn Chesterton, the thing is, right? Once again, I'm going to go back to the conversation with Danny Elfman, the composer who was on Mark Maron's podcast recently. He was in Uganda in the early days of Idi Amin, the dictator, killed scores of people. And I told the story the other day, but it's important to point out that every dictator, before they start shoveling bodies, before their people start shoveling bodies into shallow graves, they are thought of as clowns and people not serious. Here's an anecdotal story. So here's an anecdote. Danny Elfman was riding in a taxi cab, and he asked the taxi driver whether or not, he should be concerned that Idi Amin, the new dictator, outlawed miniskirts. The taxi driver's like, nah, he's not being serious. You can't take him serious. And the funny thing about Idi Amin is before he started shoveling bodies into, shallow graves, he was known as the clown. Mussolini, clownish before he took power. A lot of people thought that guy in Germany during the 1920s was a clown too. So I think that is a common theme amongst dictators or would-be dictators, that they're considered to be clowns and idiots up until the time they actually take power and the craziness starts. You're not a mod? All right, I'm going to make you a mod right now, Wild Eden, with my magic here. See, I can do certain things, with technology. Thank you, Simply Secular Dave. Here's Wild Eden's channel. All right, so what are we doing next, everyone? What's the next story? We just talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I don't believe in evolution, I believe in God. Oh, should we talk about Biden? Should we talk about the infrastructure deal? We should talk about that because it's been a mishmash. It's been a mash. We haven't really covered it a whole lot on this channel. And so I'm going to show a video from Reuters, 2-minute video, just to keep everyone updated on one of the most important political activities going on in Washington right now. And it just shows you how difficult it is to get anything done because of the filibuster. Let's show the video. First, I have to hit buttons first, which is not right, but I have to hit buttons. And I'm going to do this button.
That the sausage making is messy. It takes time. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Tuesday chalked up prolonged negotiations on an infrastructure bill between President Joe Biden and Republicans as simply messy sausage making. Just hours later, Biden washed his hands of the process, ending his talks with GOP negotiator Senator Shelley Capito, and instead reaching out to a bipartisan group of lawmakers to help broker a deal. In a follow-up statement issued late on Tuesday, Psaki said Biden, quote, informed Senator Capito today that the latest offer from her group did not, in his view, meet the essential needs of our country. Biden changed course after Capito, the leader of a group of 6 Senate Republicans handling the negotiations, offered $330 billion in new spending on infrastructure, far short of Biden's reduced $1.7 trillion offer. Psaki added that Biden, quote, expressed his disappointment that while he was willing to reduce his plan by more than $1 trillion, the Republican group had increased their proposed new investments by only $150 billion. But Capito, who had a 5-minute call with Biden on Tuesday, pointed the finger at the president. In a statement, she said, after negotiating in good faith and making significant progress to move closer to what the president wanted, I am disappointed by his decision. Earlier in the day, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the talks, quote, seem to be running into a brick wall. Schumer gave new life to the possibility of some sort of bipartisan bill being cobbled together that could ultimately be paired with a Democratic-only bill to achieve more of the administration's $2 trillion investment goals. Republicans have been talking about a far more modest package of less than $1 trillion. A bipartisan group of senators met late on Tuesday to discuss the next steps on infrastructure. They included Republican Senators Bill Cassidy, Mitt Romney, and Susan Collins, and Democratic Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who hold key swing votes in the chamber.
So there we go. The entire process being held up by Joe Manchin, senator from Arizona. Sinema, is that her name? Sinema, checking out the chat. And this is why it's impossible to get anything done, even with a majority in the Democratic majority in the House and 51 votes of Democrats, 50-50 split in the Senate. But of course, Harris would be able to be the tie-breaking vote. But we have, quote unquote, conservative Democratic senators who are just holding up the process. Well, it is a mess, Cryptameria. It is a mess. And I was going to say, before I switched over to see the chat, I was wondering if anyone was going to mention that if the money Biden wanted for infrastructure instead was going to go for tax cuts, all those Republicans would be, oh, yeah, well, we can afford to pay that much for tax cuts. We just can't afford that money for infrastructure or for poor people. Right? Because we all know tax cuts don't pay for themselves. That's one of the many lies. You see, and that's the thing about Trump and QAnon is that the Republican Party is built on lies to begin with, just as Christianity, right? just as Christianity is built on many lies. So is the Republican Party. The concept, the idea that, yeah, I said idea 3 times now, that that tax cuts pay for themselves is what Bush the Elder would have called voodoo economics back in the day, before he became, of course, assimilated into the hive. I'm sorry, Brainbud, for saying the Republican Party in the 80s, the hive. But before Bush the Elder became the vice president, he called Reagan's policies of trickle-down economics voodoo economics, and they are. But if Biden wanted to spend all that money on tax cuts, the Republicans would have been, oh yeah, we have enough money for that. And then they would have made the arguments like, well, it's so little, interest rates are so low right now, why not borrow that money for tax cuts? But what they don't want to do is spend that money on poor people. Brainbug says, should we be listening to Republicans if they have announced that they don't believe in science? Yeah, it is. It's really talking to people. I mean, this is how I try to project my messages, trying to get people who are already atheists and Democrats to become more left, and trying to convince people in the middle, or people who haven't really thought about their positions that much, and say, have you thought about it like this? Maybe you should be thinking about it like this, because the other way doesn't make any sense. Let's see what else. Tax cuts only help the rich. It's so insane to me. People don't get that. No, they don't, because there's math involved. Jessi Bear, when the Reagan tax cuts first happened, there were middle class people who benefited in a very limited way. Sure, they got more money in their paycheck. However, no one, it just started hollowing out the middle class here in the States. Let's see. Cryptameria says, it's supposed to be the land of free speech until you say that you aren't religious, and then pitchforks come out. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that the protected speech, the free speech, the First Amendment is there to protect unpopular speech, right? Because why would you need to protect popular speech? Glad. Let's see. Marmaduke Scarlet. Hello, Marmaduke. By the time a man becomes president, he's been bought and sold over 10 times over. Yeah, Gore Vidal. Not sure what to think about Gore, but agree with that quote. Yeah. All right, let's see. I think I'm caught up with the chat. James Henry, you're right. It is a mess everywhere. Nationalism, isolationism abound. I was thinking about it over the last couple of days when I was in Colorado. And, nature is full of cycles, right? Nature, society is full of cycles. And getting rid of tribalism, or at least being able to manage tribalism in an effective way, we still haven't figured that out yet. All right, so what's the last story we're doing? We're talking about rich Americans not getting taxed. Is this surprising for anyone? Is it surprising? Probably not. Richest 25 Americans reportedly paid true tax rate of 3.4% as wealth rocketed. ProPublica investigation shows how little U.S. super rich, including Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, reportedly paid between 2014 and 2018. Just remember that here in the States, your income gets taxed, but your wealth does not. What the F does that mean, Andy? That means you could hold stock, property, and it can go up through the roof. But until you access it, that doesn't count as taxable income. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at the story. The 25 richest Americans, including Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and Elon Musk, paid a true tax rate of just 3.4% between 2014 and 2018, according to an investigation by ProPublica, despite their collective net worth rising by more than $400 billion in the same period. The report by the nonprofit news organization exposes the U.S. tax system as an income and wealth inequality, as income and wealth speaking in tongues, everyone. Wealth inequality continues to widen. ProPublica used the IRS data to dive into the tax returns of some of America's wealthiest and most prominent people. It found that in 2007, Bezos, the founder of Amazon and already a billionaire, paid no federal taxes. In 2011, when he had a net worth of $18 billion, he was again able to pay no federal taxes and even received a $4,000 tax credit for his children. I don't know. Should we just do a pause for the absurdity, for the injustice? Before we get to the next slide, I was watching CNN, and this is why I could never be on CNN. And they had a commentator, the British guy, the irritating British guy. And he was talking about how they were covering this story. And he was like, well, you can't blame the rich for using the system that's already there. And it's like, that sounds like you're following orders. That sounds like, and if anyone had come on my channel and said that kind of idiocy, I would have done I think I would have taken off my shoe and done a Khrushchev and saying that's no excuse for complicity in a corrupt system. But let me continue. ProPublica created what it called a true tax rate for the wealthiest 25 Americans by comparing federal income tax paid between 2014 and 2018 to how their net worth increased on Forbes' well-regarded rich list over the same period. The results are stark, ProPublica wrote. According to Forbes, those 25 people saw their net worth rise a collective $401 billion from 2014 to 2018. They paid a total of $13.6 billion in federal income taxes in those 5 years. The IRS data shows that's a staggering sum, but it amounts to a true tax rate of only 3.4%. By contrast, the median American household paid 14% in federal taxes, ProPublica reported. The top income tax rate is 37% on incomes over $523,600, with single filers having been reduced from 39.6% under Donald Trump. ProPublica found that Buffett, founder of the investment firm Berkshire Hathaway, paid $23.7 million in taxes from 2014 to 2018 on a total reported income of $125 million. But Buffett's wealth grew by $24.3 billion, meaning he had a true tax rate of 0.1%. Bezos' wealth grew by $99 billion over the 4-year period, but he paid a true tax rate of 0.98%, according to ProPublica. Musk and Michael Bloomberg paid 3.27 and 1.3%, respectively. The billionaires are not accused of illegal activity, but the rates expose the failures of America's tax laws to levy increases on wealth derived from assets in the way wages, the prime source of income for most Americans, are taxed. So if you have assets and if you have investments, then they're not going to be taxed. You can borrow off them, perhaps, right? They're collateral. You can use them to borrow from, to get loans for, business loans, etc. But yeah, they're not going to be taxed up until the time that you access them. I'm not wearing shoes right now, Scott Duke. But if I feel, do I have something close by? I don't know. I think I probably atheist drinking out loud. I'm sure I must have pounded on the table once or twice, either with a shoe or a coffee cup or my hand. Let's see. Remember, Sammy Jenkins says, Andy doesn't even have legs. He is a computer-generated image, Scott Duke. Right. Well, that could be true. That could be true. I will say that I don't have pants on. Well, I have fuzzy pants. I have my pajamas on from the bottom down. Glenn Chesterton, here's a solution. If you hit a certain level of wealth, you win capitalism, you get a certificate, and you get to pay a 60% tax rate. I like that. Sure. Don't stand up, Marmaduke says. I won't stand up, Marmaduke Scarlet. I will not. All right, let's check out the rest of the chat. Amazon, yep. True enough. I'm not going to argue with you with that. And time for work. All right, B, take care. All right, I think what did we cover today, everyone? Oh, wow. It's almost time to close the show out. I'm not even going to go over what we went over. I'm just going to do something funny and go from there.
I was wondering if you wanted to work this minimum wage job. See, a college degree's okay, but a master's is really what we want. Yeah, you'll mainly be getting coffee and picking laundry up, but the experience is priceless, so no paid time off. Well, also figured I should let you know you're technically an independent contractor, which sounds cool, but means you'll pay a whole lot in taxes. And if you need insurance, you sure as hell better not ask us. We're looking for a rock star with a can-do attitude. Apply today, and maybe it could be you.
Please hit the like button. See, I remembered to ask that, to say that. I'm going to show the thank you video. I hope we'll see each other at the open room at 10 a.m. Thank you, supporters. Thank you, members. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, everyone.